job, Brian.
Oh, you ruined it.
You're welcome.
You know what else is missing Reese Darby?
Justice League.
Justice League.
Reese Darby would have made this the best movie.
Agreed.
What if he was playing
Aquaman?
Steppenwolf?
I want Reese Darby.
No. He should have been.
Come on, fish.
Steppenwolf.
He should have been Henry Cavill's mouth.
His upper lip.
That would have been good too.
Come on, Batman.
I'm a little off right now.
All right, we're gonna start this thing. So fuck yes, welcome After the Hype. And me, as host, always Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty,
Still alive.
Chewie Darsow,
I might not be.
Emily Blake.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Range of quality, I guess. Special guest this week. I can use words. Coming back is Brian Newton.
I'm a zombie.
Zombie. Well, okay, that's fine.
He's both alive and dead.
Yeah,
That's why we might not be alive by the end of this podcast.
It's we just might not be because I have to break my heart over and over and over as we talk about this movie.
Oh boy.
Otherwise known as Brian's Tears.
Yeah.
The episode.
So last time we had Brian on was because he's been involved with Teen Titans Go, and we're like, oh, we're doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, team up guy thing, and now that's actually a DC movie. How can we not invite
Another
Brian
team
back?
up.
Yeah.
I thought it was because of the Rick and Morty reference in Justice League.
Nope.
Okay.
Wait,
I believe-
I didn't catch that.
In Flash's lair, they're playing the Needful Things episode on Lois.
Did you direct that episode? Because that'd be awesome.
No,
Oh.
I wish. That was a good episode.
I finally
enjoyed
watched
that
all
one.
of Rick and Morty. We'll talk about
Okay.
it later. I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay, that's fair. Everyone does. And complaints.
So we'll do a quick where have you been doing. I will go first. I've been playing Resident Evil 7. I've actually been playing it for a while, and I've been embarrassed to talk about it, but now I'm just going to talk about it. For Christmas, my dad was unbelievably nice and bought me a PlayStation VR, and I was very excited to play Resident Evil 7 in it.
Oh, nice.
And then it started giving me so much anxiety that I was getting nightmares, and I couldn't sleep at night because the whole sensory deprivation in that game got way too fucking real for me. And I've never experienced that from a video game where I'm like, I'm taking the headset off and going to bed and going,
BioShock 1 did that to me.
I could see that. Yeah, for
Play
sure.
a little bit at a time. That's all I could do.
If I had to play BioShock 1 in full VR, it would have mortified me. And that's where I got... So now I had to take like 2 months off of the game, and now I'm going back to it and playing it in regular 2D, and now I feel bad because I've used the VR. There's like a lot of really cool things that I have for it, but this was the main reason I wanted it, and I can't handle it. So it's a little sad and upsetting. But the game itself is very good, and it's entertaining, and it's very Resident Evil while not being Resident Evil at all, and that's kind of refreshing. Especially if you've kind of gotten bogged down with the horror action stuff they've been doing with like 5 and 6. And
Well, the repeated attempts to repeat 4.
yeah, and this one's it's kind of like 4 again, where they're like, all right, so what wasn't working, what was working, let's just try something new, and that's what we got, and it was it's great, and I've been enjoying the hell out of it. The boss fights are some of the most intense I've ever had. Like they really have done it well to make them like beatable, but you get by the skin of your teeth. So whenever like you're finished with it, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I pulled that off. And it's kind of like something. It almost reminds me of Dark Souls in a way of like, oh, that's really cool, and like you actually feel accomplishment when you do it. So if you haven't dove in yet because you don't have VR, I would say it's still great as 2D. So give it a shot.
It's good to hear that it's really effective, which means nope for me.
Yeah, super.
I'm such a pansy when it comes to that.
In 2D, not scary really at all.
2D, it still bothers me. Like, in that sort of, I'm a wuss.
Okay, well, it doesn't really bother me at all in 2D. 3 full-blown VR, it was too much.
Oh.
Couldn't do it.
Stresses
That's
me out
it for me, though.
Stresses me out just hearing about it. Yeah, once again, I've been doing a lot of work and watching a lot of movies for this. So I saw an interesting little film called Raiders of the Lost Ark.
A little movie.
Really just
Little
flipping
independent movie.
and I enjoyed it. And you can hear that episode about it.
It's already out.
We might have gotten a little intense.
Yeah, Chewie and I kind of, especially Chewie, kind of just ripped it open.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
After
will.
John.
I will rip off that Band-Aid. And
I mean, I'm
will
surprised
not-
that you guys were able to clean up all the blood.
Yeah, like, that was a brutal takedown.
It's not the first time I've had to clean up blood.
Chewie, what about you? What have you been doing?
Still being pregnant. I'm just
Yep.
going to keep bringing that up. I'm sure there's people that listening to this that hate hearing that. But
Then they hate the creation of life.
yeah.
How dare they?
But other than watching Grimm some more, which is still fantastic. I still love Grimm.
What
Yes,
season
she
are
was
you?
Chewie's journey through Grimm.
That is just I come home, I don't want to think, and I just want to watch something I know I enjoy, so
What
I watch
season?
Grimm. I'm on the 4th season right now.
Okay, you went further than me. I only got to 2, maybe beginning at 3.
Oh, I was the avid Grimm fan. I watched the entire show while it was airing, and I'm just rewatching it.
Yeah.
But on my side, not grimness, of course, I'm still watching Law and Order SVU.
Ding, ding.
Dun, dun.
That's a gavel.
And
Yeah, did you know that?
I am enjoying the fact that it's not just me; it's also the characters who are feeling the impact of Raoul not being there as the DA anymore, and with a Peter Stone / played by Philip Winchester, who he's learning the ropes. He's got to learn how to be a good person and understand that sexual crimes are not easy, and you need to really do things differently and blah blah blah. And this latest episode was actually pretty intense that I watched, because it was about a girl who cried rape, and she did it because she was embarrassed to have had sex. So it's one of those touchy subjects about sometimes, occasionally, on very rare occasions, women do lie. Very rare, does not happen often. So it's just like them dealing with that in the episode. And once they realized that she was lying, trying to correct the situation, and then it ended up getting worse because then the guy revenge raped her for real, and it's just like, oh.
I feel like I would watch a podcast of just you recapping SVU episodes.
That almost sounds like a Minority Report, like she was like precog. It was like, this guy's a rapist. I'm not yet.
It was so upsetting, actually, because, yeah, he did it as a revenge rape for her lying before, and now he's a real rapist, and he's still blaming the system for it, and it's just... It's sad, and there's a lot of people that make fun of SVU as being the stupid serial show that just won't die, and that argument has its merits, but the show still touches on interesting subjects that no one else does.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Emily, what about you?
All right. I have been I watched Star Wars Clone Wars and then slid right into Rebels. So I watched both of those. I'm in season 2 of Rebels right now. I feel like Clone Wars was off to a little bit of a rough start, but then once they started humanizing Anakin, I really appreciated it. I liked how, because it always, in the prequels, I mean, the prequels,
George is not the best director.
but he was always such a smarmy little shit. And they make a big deal about how he and Obi-Wan were friends, and I guess we were supposed to buy that off of one dumb scene where they're like, ha ha ha, ha you.
The elevator scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Thor Ragnarok kind of referenced.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. But so I appreciated that this gave us a look at how you really see his transition. You see how Anakin is not a bad person, but then you see that slide. You see him get more and more like this is how things should be. You see him use torture and an interrogation. You see him do things that you can totally realize are justifiable. So it's not like one day he was just a little whiny shit and the next day he was evil incarnate. It's more of a transition, and I appreciate it. I like all the other characters a lot. And I like how in Rebels they're bringing some of those characters in, but they also they're closing a lot of loops, but in ways that are entertaining. And I've been just really generally enjoying it and getting into the mythology of Star Wars a bit more.
Where are you watching it?
On Disney. I think Netflix
has
for Clone Wars,
yeah.
and then Disney Anywhere or whatever has Rebels.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Clone Wars made Darth Bane a canon character, and I will always love them for
It's
that.
very good. The few from the books that they're embracing, so right now they're really embracing Thrawn. They just started a new comic book series, which I picked up, and I'm going to read it once I get a chance, and hopefully it's good.
I wish Bane would get his own comic book series. That's fucking awesome.
Is Rebels considered part of the continuity with the movies?
They're
or no?
holding it into canon from what I know.
Okay.
But I think Rebels and Clone Wars, right? They're both considered
so far.
canon. Yeah.
I've actually I went on Wikipedia just a little while ago because I'm also watching Clone Wars just slowly. They considered some of those to be legends.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah, like what's his Darth Maul's brother? Barris Oppress.
Yeah.
Or Savage Oppress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like there's parts of him he's actually in the main continuity, but certain actions he takes are not. And it's weird.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about Darth Maul coming back, especially coming back with spidery legs. That was weird.
In the comic books, it was amazing.
Yeah, the comics is really cool.
It was super fucking awesome.
Brian, what about you?
I've been in Subnautica for the past 3 to 4 weeks.
Fun.
So you mentioned like being like submerged in the VR experience. I wish I had VR for that game because it would make it a lot more really like I'm in the deep of depths and I can't see anything, and I know there are monsters all around me, but I can't see anything. And then like finding materials. Like I've gotten to the point in the game where I'm like 900 meters deep, and I feel like I've already reached the bottom, but I know I can like mod my subs to go at least 1,300 meters deep. So I'm like, how much further do I have to go? And I can't find any material, so I'm obsessively playing that game too much. Still watching Altered Carbon, and I need to finish season 2 of Jessica Jones. And
I haven't started either. They're on my list.
Now watch the first 3.
Yeah. Now that I'm unemployed, I might actually start some of these other shows, not just watch Grimm.
That's fun employed. But I'm bouncing around on too many like different projects or ideas, but mostly playing Subnautica. That's the thing I do immediately when I get home.
Yeah.
And I've started my Marvel movie view up until Infinity War. So,
I've done that too.
Yeah, I've done Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, and I think either tonight or tomorrow will be Iron Man 2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm stuck on Homecoming. Like, as much as I enjoy the movie, it's just something about the rewatch in that one. It's just not as great for me.
It's not a great Spider-Man movie. It's really, to me, the more I think about Spider-Man having to beholden himself to Tony Stark for his stuff, the more annoyed I'm at it.
Yeah. Like, I'd rather watch the other Spider-Man movies, like any of them, and I don't even think they're as well made of movies, but they're still more fun for me.
They're more Spider-Man.
Yeah, like this is a very good teenage Peter Parker movie, not the best Spider-Man movie.
Speaking of flawed superhero movies.
Oh boy. Flawed?
There's a lot of flaws.
Oh,
There's a lot of flaws.
I could talk about some plunging
This movie's
flaws
like 90% flaws.
that really annoy me.
So before we really dive into this thing and do our breakdowns and all that sort of stuff, I want to preface by saying I enjoy Justice League. I've already bought the movie on Blu-ray. I pre-ordered it. I love these characters. DC is in my blood. It's what I love. I'm going to rip this movie to pieces.
Do you just love every DC movie regardless of whether it's quality?
Like, I own Green Lantern on Blu-ray. Like it's like
so they can't make you not see the movie.
I don't think so. At this point, if I can still enjoy these things, as long as those characters are on screen, I will still see it and at least enjoy it a little bit just because I love these characters. That said, I think this might be the worst DC movie.
Ooh.
I fully disagree with you.
Fully. I hope you prove me wrong.
This is interesting.
Because here's the thing.
Is it because you like this movie?
No, I don't like it.
Okay, all right. Okay. You just hate something else more.
I hate a lot of things more.
And when I say worst DC movie, I'm talking of the new DCEU.
Yes, agreed. I mean, I agree that within this continuity, but I do not agree it's the worst.
And I do want to preface this.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I would have to say trying to rewatch the first Green Lantern movie is worse.
But I'm not counting that.
That one doesn't count.
Right. Yeah, I'm not counting that one or any of the other like the Nolan Batman movies or any of that. I'm counting this. Just it's like they decided to make their own shared universe.
Mm-hmm.
This might be. I don't know. I'll decide by the end of the episode if I still think so or not. I'll leave it open to interpretation. But before we go too far, I'll play the numbers games. This movie was a big old flop,
which is so tragic.
It really is. I mean, it made its money back and then some. And apparently, from inside sources that I won't name, this movie had made its money back before it even was released on just tie-in products with promos, that sort of stuff. They'd made their money back before it even hit screens.
We even bought some of the promos. We own 2 protein shakers.
Yeah, exactly.
One for the Flash, one for Batman. I bought those.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, we can drink our protein shake, but it'll get us energy, and it's got the Flash on it.
It's a protein shake. They sold so much shit for this movie. They had made their money back before it even came out. So with that in thought, it then went on to make 657 worldwide, which for the movie with arguably the most well-known and beloved superheroes of all time is a failure. Fucking travesty.
That's a failure.
I was going to read a review, but the reviews are actually kind of interesting. There's really none that stand out. The critics, by and large, said it was okay, and then the fans, by and large, said it was really fucking good, and I don't know where they're coming from. Like, on Metacritic, it's largely skewed to people giving it 10 out of 10, and very few people like bashing it. And I'm like, I don't see that, but again, we'll get into it. Before we do, though, we're going to do a breakdown. This week coming to you from Brian Newton. Brian, did you watch the link I sent you?
Yes.
Because it was you. I was very proud of that.
Yeah, that was fun.
I usually send people the same thing so they know what the breakdown is, but since Brian has already done one, I just sent him himself doing it.
Yeah, because I failed miserably.
So this time you're going to do better, right?
Sure.
You're ready to go in this one?
At
I'm
least
ready to
comparable
go.
to the movie.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely ready to go.
Just let the bar kind of attainable.
Yeah, that's real attainable. All right, so Justice League in 30 seconds. Here we go, 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 go.
DC had over 30 years to try to get it right, and they didn't.
They weren't trying the whole last 30 years.
Let him finish. He's got 20
I'm
seconds.
done. That's the plot. That's what happened. That's what went over our eyes.
I'll call that as a success. I don't want to.
I like their strategy.
I think they only tried in the last 3, personally.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that, like really quick. We know these characters because of the Christopher Reeve Superman and Michael Keaton and Tim Burton Batmans, and now they finally
Linda
did
Carter.
one. Yeah, and Linda Carter Wonder Woman. So these are people like you could have just done this movie straight out the gate if you just did it well.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it well. So it's like
This is going to be great.
Yep. All right, so that's the end of the breakdown. If the really quick, you can turn it off. The really quick summary for the
it
film.
off.
So as we talk through the rest of this thing, is basically Superman died in Batman vs Superman, and now for some reason Steppenwolf is showing up, and the League has to get together to stop Steppenwolf from getting the mother boxes.
Sorry, the mother boxes.
I have no problem with the
I
mother
forgot.
boxes.
I
Like
forgot.
There's certain things that come straight out of the books. In
Yeah.
here
No,
that
I
I'm-
much.
really
Yeah.
wish the boxes, one of them was named Martha. So Mother Martha.
Mother Martha
I would have really enjoyed that. I would have loved if they had owned that. I would have been very happy.
So before we dive way into everything this movie does wrong, I want to, because there is so much this movie does wrong. I want to talk about what it does right, because there are certain things in this movie that it nails.
The Flash.
The Flash I thought was great.
Yeah.
This is the first time Henry Cavill has felt like Superman.
yes.
Like if he was like this the whole franchise, I would be way more in love with this.
Like I don't like Superman. I don't love Superman, but like this is how you do Superman. I'm gonna give that more credit to Josh Whedon.
I think so too. Yeah. Because you can tell pretty much this movie has the problem. If you didn't know, they wrapped. Superman was done, and now Henry Cavill went to go shoot Mission Impossible, I think it is, where he has a mustache and a beard, and they want to do reshoots with Joss Whedon. So anytime he has the weird CGI bluff mouth, that's a Joss Whedon scene. So it's kind of a good tell. And you'll notice when you watch the movie, every time he has the bluff mouth, he feels like Superman. And it's like, oh, this is the Superman I've wanted to see since Man of Steel, and like this is really cool.
There's barely any scenes where he doesn't have the bleh mouth.
Yeah, I feel like they reshot him almost entirely.
Yeah.
There's I think 1 or 2 shots here or there, like in the final action sequence, but for the most part, it's all reshoots.
Yeah.
So I think that was great. But let's talk about Flash, because there's a reason we're still getting a Flash movie, and it's because of how good he was in this movie.
I actually wrote it's a quote, so I'm kind of cheating by reading a quote ahead of time, but there was a moment when he said something really cool, and I was like, that's the Flash. That's the Flash. I like the TV show. I enjoy it, but this is the Flash that they've never really shown us. When he's explaining, when he meets Batman, and he's like, why he wants in, and he says, I need friends. People are difficult. They require a lot of focus. They have a rhythm, and I haven't quite been able to, like brunch. What is brunch? People wait in line for an hour for what is essentially lunch. People are slow. And that's something they've never done on the TV show, is show how Flash is always... everything around him is moving so slowly at all times, and how it frustrates him, and he has to just concentrate to keep himself together. And I feel like that's something that I really liked about this character.
Well, it really harkened back to Barry Allen's Rebirth, where when he came back from the dead, back in, when was that, like late 90s, something like that. I don't remember exactly when Barry Allen came back, but when he came back and replaced Wally West as the main Flash, he had a problem where he couldn't stop moving because he was so worried that he missed out on so much time that every time he's in a frame, it's like a shadowy figure because he's shaking because he's always moving. And by having him like that line, like it nails the whole, like his mind is moving faster than everyone else he's talking to.
How do you guys feel about the blue lightning?
I like it. It feels like the books to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because in the books he's always kind of surrounded by lightning when he's using his powers.
Yeah, it just aesthetically and design wise, it kind of bugs me because he.
I just, as a person who has a lot of stuff, I'm like, stop, no.
Yeah.
Paper,
like everything's
everywhere.
everything's
You're
electrified.
ruining my shit.
Because it took a while to settle too. He
Yeah.
moved to a location like lightning will still permeate. It's just like aesthetically, since he's so tied to like red and yellow, even like a lot of his
Are you saying
villains.
the color blue?
Yeah, the color blue kind of like bugged me. I wish they just did like a yellow tint on the lightning.
That would have been nice. That's a good call.
By the way,
but-
he was played by Ezra Miller. I don't know if we said that.
No, we didn't. But I really like Ezra Miller. I've liked him in everything he's been in.
I was unsure of him playing him at the beginning because I've never really seen Ezra Miller play kind of a witty character, I guess.
He was in the Harry Potter spinoff.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
Fantastic Beasts.
I've mostly seen Ezra Miller play a brooding, kind of violent person, except for like Perks of Wallflower.
Yeah, he was great in the movie.
He's one of the reasons why I would never want to rewatch We Need to Talk About
Oh
Kevin.
god,
Yeah.
yes.
Because he just makes me so uncomfortable. So I was very happy that all my reservations were squashed seeing him in this movie. He's a very versatile actor.
I thought he did a good job. He just runs weird.
He does run.
He does run really weird.
I think that's probably like the whole speed skater suit.
Yeah.
Idea is like
Yeah,
probably
he
the
runs
thought
like
of
a
why-
speed skater.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
you're thinking. Oh, did anyone catch the gorilla sign language?
Oh no.
There's one point where he's talking to Batman. He's like, "I'm fluent in sign language, gorilla sign language," which I think is a reference to Gorilla
Trick
Grodd.
Rod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Oh, yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
I think it's the heart. He's the real heart of the movie, and just his whole arc. Yeah, like you said, is really good. And
The problem is what you're saying is it feels like they wanted him and Cyborg to be the heart of the film, and they don't give Cyborg
Cyborg is-
anything compared to what they give the Flash.
They
most-
make
He's just
Cy-
broody the whole time.
Yeah.
Cyborg has no personality to me in
No.
this movie.
Well, here's the problem: is like we all associate Cyborg a lot from the Teen Titans and more recent
Yeah.
iterations of Cyborg, but like the original Cyborg was super broody. All the Titans were super
Yeah.
broody in the
Yeah.
beginning, and it's like, yeah, he needed more scenes, and you can tell like a lot of those scenes got cut out because of
totally.
what, like happened with Zack Snyder and that tragedy behind that.
Yeah.
But like the scenes he had with his father, I thought were some of my favorite scenes.
They were really good.
Specifically
Yeah, for
when
sure.
he's hidden under the hood because
Yeah.
the CG on his body looks terrible.
Terrible.
So
That's the producer's fault.
yes, agreed.
They wanted their stupid bonuses, and Steppenwolf didn't look real because of them. I blame them for
He
this
looked
shit.
like a GI Joe toy.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
and it's those moments that made me want to stay in those moments instead of seeing the rest of the movie.
Right.
The main plot at hand, I just was like, okay, you guys can keep going, but can I have more of the Flash and his
Didn't
father
care
thing?
about the main plot.
Can I
Didn't care
have
about
more-
the action either. Just
No.
like
I
when
also-
they're talking to each other, I'm like, this is fascinating.
And their
I
themes
also-
are weird in a movie where it's all about mothers. Like the mother,
Yeah.
like
Mm.
they're throwing these father
You're
things in
right.
there, and it's like very weirdly, like not synchronous.
I didn't even think of that because there's so many dead mothers in this. Like,
Yeah.
Cyborg's dead mom, Flash's dead mom, Batman's dead mom.
It's just
Killing
popular.
moms.
It's popular to kill moms.
Kill your moms.
Because,
Yeah.
a dead woman is a great motivation for
Yeah,
a superhero.
Diana's mother's still alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
rad.
And her
but I
dad's
do-
dead.
She almost
A
died.
big shout out to Joe Morton once again playing a scientist whose creation just went too far.
When will he learn?
He never does.
This is like the third time for
Miles,
That-
what are you doing?
That's good casting. I enjoyed that.
But yeah, so was there anything else that worked? Like I liked Superman.
The beginning of this movie.
Yeah, so there's
Uh,
there's a good point.
I'll talk about this.
Yeah.
I have very strong feelings about this because
the
everyone.
Batman sequence. right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oof.
Because for some reason, everyone is stuck in this thing of the previous, 7 movies? I don't know how many Batman movies we've had.
a lot.
Of Batman not being scary. Okay, he's not scaring in those movies. I still really enjoy them, but I'm not afraid of Batman in those movies. I am afraid of Batman in the beginning of this movie and in BVS. The end of this movie, not afraid of Batman anymore. They kind of castrate him.
They turned him into a punchline by the end
Yeah.
of the film. Yeah.
At the beginning of this movie, he's still Batman. He is a terrifying Batman, a fast, agile, brooding, muscly Batman who uses a dude as bait to get his larger issue. And I love the beginning of this movie.
I agree with you, and I like the way that he moves because he move like every
Yeah.
time like he's moving, it feels like a panel out of a comic book screen.
His-
I think that's really cool.
The use of his cape.
yeah,
I hate his costume.
Why?
Hate. It looks like it's filled up with like padding. It just looks ridiculous.
That's
to me.
because of the recoloring that Josh Whedon did
Oh,
on
yeah.
top of
That
the
did not
Zack
work
Snyder
at all.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, because if you look at the first trailer of Batman and Superman, you can't see any of that padding because Zack Snyder always mutes his in sepia tones his movies, but Josh Whedon does not, and he's like, let's brighten this up because it needs to be brighter.
can
But they
see
didn't.
it
Yeah,
looks
but they
cheap.
didn't redo the costume at
Yeah.
all.
That to me, that is an example of a problem with Warner Brothers right now, trying to appeal to the Marvel fan base.
Right.
They need to stop.
Well, they need
Stop
they
trying
need,
to brighten things up for these guys.
They need to. Well, the DC Comics can be brighter.
They can be,
They need
but-
to make that as a concerted decision
Yeah.
that they're going to do that. Like, I thought it was a problem when Warner's initially said, we want our movies not to be bright or funny or lighthearted. I'm like, that's a problem because you have a lot of lighthearted characters who's not going to work in the
do.
grimdark.
Yeah, like that's the thing. They have a lot of those too, but like a good chunk of like the actual like Justice League are kind of fun characters. Like Aquaman is
I
a
love the
fun
Flash.
character. Flash is
They're
great.
a lot of
Funny.
fun, but that's not the problem for me. The problem is they're making decisions after they have shot
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
based on internet
What
pressure.
Marvel's doing, yeah.
And I'm just like, don't do that.
This whole movie is Marvel pressure.
It's even got 2
Yeah.
extra scenes at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They even did a
Be-
post credits tag, right?
Yeah.
Be your own thing. It's
Right.
better.
No, I agree with that point, but I don't necessarily agree that they can't be bright. I'm just
I'm
agreeing
not saying that
they
they
shouldn't.
can't be
Oh
bright.
yeah, they shouldn't dictate
they
Marvel.
should
that
have
Be
dictate.
bright
Yeah.
when you want to be bright,
Right.
not when you think
Like-
somebody thinks when somebody else's stupid opinion.
Like if you look at the upcoming Shazam movie, that looks real bright. And
I'm
fun.
really
Which it
excited
should
for
be.
that.
That
Yeah.
costume is very bright.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
So it's kind of interesting. When I watched BVS, there was a lot of slow motion in the beginning as they retold Bruce Wayne's backstory again. And in this movie, I wanted those Zack Snydery things in that opening, but to the exaggerated extent. I kind of wanted it like. It's weird. In this movie, especially in the beginning, I missed Zack Snyder, and
Yeah.
But the beginning is Zack Snyder.
the camera forgot that it was him. Like they must have done something because it didn't feel
the
epic.
editing and the
wasn't.
post effects were not Zack Snyder.
No,
No, that's true.
The sequences were definitely written
Yeah,
by
just
him.
the Wonder Woman or the Amazon sequence was so Zack
Yeah,
Snyder.
and
Yeah.
the
So much that I kinda
the
didn't like
Steppenwolf flashback too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, real quick in the beginning sequence, I have a problem that was the beginning sequence. For example, most people don't know what a parademon is.
Yeah.
That thing just shows up out of an alley.
Mistakenly
Yeah.
thought it was like the Firefly character that I fought in like Arkham Knight.
Oh,
I was like,
Firefly.
shoot,
yeah.
I fought him. Wait, no, that's something else.
Yeah.
What is
and
this?
that's actually one of my big complaints about this movie overall is I feel like this movie was made it's weird because it was made for people who really knew the mythology of the comic books. I've read a lot of Justice League actually. Justice League is one of my favorites, but the same reason I stopped reading Justice League is the same reason one of the reasons I didn't enjoy this movie is I feel like sometimes in Justice League comics they get so deep into the mythology that I don't know what the fuck is going on because I haven't been reading the comic
Yeah,
for 20 years.
they forgot they were making a movie.
Yeah, this movie. I mean, I even know what mother boxes are, or so I thought. And now, like, I was watching this movie.
These
going,
aren't normal mother boxes.
Okay, so I was really confused because I was like, I thought they were like teleporters. I was so confused by this because I didn't really, and it took forever before finally they had some exposition about it.
On a similar
that's-
point. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say that's one of the big differences between me and a lot of other people that don't like Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder has always trusted his audience, sometimes to a fault. He does not lean in exposition very much, like ever.
No,
He just lets things happen.
Well, on a
this
similar
much mythology.
yeah, on a similar point, I completely forgot Arthur Curry was raised by humans.
Yeah.
They use a line in the movie. I'm like,
Yeah.
I forgot about that, and like that's important for your audience to understand who this character
Oh, wait,
is.
what?
Well, it's
Okay.
really
Yeah.
important, specifically
yeah,
with
they touch on it mostly when he goes to talk to
During that
the
Mara.
Mara.
It's not
Mara.
super.
Mara.
It's not super important to the plot at all. But it's only like a couple of lines coming. He's like, I don't know if I belong in land or sea. But I'm like,
Yeah.
we should have seen that.
Doesn't he
Or
say that
don't-
kind of-
or
doesn't
don't
he
mention
say
that.
in like a medium shot in passing as he turns his face. Like I missed a lot
Something
of
like that. It was mainly with the
that.
sequence of Mirror.
That whole location was boring?
You could remove that sequence from the movie. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird that
business
they
being
decided
there.
to
Yeah.
remove all the Flash stuff, like especially with Iris, because all that stuff looked really cool. It was in the trailers, like him poking the hole through the glass in super speed. That was all in the trailers, and they got rid of it because they didn't like. I don't remember who they cast as Iris, but it sounds like they're going to recast her in the next one. That's an internet rumor. I don't mean to propel those any farther than they need to go because I think she'd be cool in it.
Who did they cast?
I don't remember her name, but I looked at her and I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be a good fit. She looks great. But it's weird with Aquaman specifically because Aquaman and Superman are two characters that I was not a big fan of for a long time, and then I just kind of like, well, they're key members of the Justice League. I want to get into them. I just started diving into these books, and no pun intended with Aquaman. And I've really grown to love these characters, especially Superman. Like everyone who tells me they hate Superman, I'm like, you just need to go back and just start reading certain stories. You will grow to like Superman. He's great.
yeah.
But Aquaman is like this really weird character where he's always been kind of a joke. And Zack Snyder, I think,
Thanks to Super Friends.
yeah, and like, I think Zack Snyder was right to try to make him a badass. Like play with the idea that since he's underwater, he needs to have incredible strength.
They've been trying to retcon Aquaman as a badass since the 90s.
True.
It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Like within
Jason Momoa is a good choice for that.
Jason
Yeah.
Momoa is a good choice for that. The current run in the DC books has been doing a wonderful job of it. Like, they've made him like a legit fun character. And I think Momoa was a good choice. I just kind of like Cyborg. They only gave him half of what they needed. And I feel like if they didn't have that one scene, he'd be even worse. But I agree, it adds nothing to the movie.
I got kind of annoyed at his dialogue.
Yeah, his dialogue. It
My
just,
man, yeah,
I'm the funny guy. Yeah.
Only because in real life he's married to Lisa Bonet.
What's
he?
that got
Yes,
to do with
yes.
the
Yeah.
bro stuff?
He's allowed.
So he can do the bro lines.
No, that's not the bro. It's the my man. It's like you were on with Lisa Bonet. Yeah, you're allowed.
They are making very pretty babies.
Yeah.
I
was,
like it.
Our baby is not going to be as pretty as theirs.
nope.
I like when they had to bring Superman back to life in a big puddle of water. They were just like, Aquaman, you're into water. Go stand in it. Like, anyone could have done that.
It's funny because I think you could have cut him out of the movie completely, and the movie would have been
Aquaman?
The
thankfully
same.
shorter. Yeah,
Yeah, I
It would
agree.
have been less pretty.
he is absolutely of no importance to this movie.
I agree. Definitely wouldn't do that, but I agree.
He
Either
has-
make
I
him more
I
important.
wanted to get
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I
here's
wanted
the,
to get a take into Aquaman that I've been cursory. I'm on the outside. I don't know enough about him, and I'm like, this is the movie that's going to cure my.
Even his reasons for actually becoming Aquaman is like bullshit. He's just like he talks to mirrors like you need to help us. And he's like okay,
Yeah.
give me my trident.
I think John's totally right. You could lift him out of the movie wouldn't change. I think it'd be lesser though, because I do like having
His
Aquaman,
moment when he's sitting on the rope while leaning against the Batmobile.
which was lifted straight out of Emily's favorite Wonder Woman animated film.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that moment.
But guys, that scene drove me bananas though, because they showed the wide. There is no rope in
Yeah.
the wide.
No, he's sitting on it. You can't see it.
Oh, is that what's supposed to be
because
happening?
when they show
I
him
wish they'd fucking
twisting
shown
and he
that,
pulls
because
it out of his butt.
It was
essentially.
driving me crazy. I thought it was like wrapped around his foot or something, like in the
Yeah.
movie.
Originally, I thought that
specifically-
too,
I was
yeah.
so like, where was it? And okay, I wish they had shown him actually.
they really Jurassic
That
Park
was
the
driving me
geography of that little bunker.
But
Well,
that's
that was in the transport.
Oh, the transport
Yeah.
thing. or
I
whatever.
just love that sequence so much, though, when he's doing his little confessional, and then you cut back to the people, like, especially Ben Affleck's moment. He's looking really confused, and then
and
you
she's
see,
just looking
you
at him
act-
like,
you kind of get that tick in his face of, oh, I know what's going on right now.
she knows what's happening.
I-
I love that.
I enjoy the Flash's capper at the end of that. He's just like all I heard was we're all gonna die.
So here's the thing with this movie is obviously there's things to enjoy in it, and there's a lot of things to not enjoy in it. I want to start jumping into some of those. And for me, the first thing that I want to pull up is going to be the editing in the movie, because I think it's just it's a mess.
Terrible.
Yeah,
And that
there's jump cuts. In
oh my god! And the thing is, it spurs from when BVS came out and they released the runtime of, I think it was like 235. I want to say
All the Marvel people went, oh, it's so long.
I don't give a shit
That's
about
not-
Marvel
that's
people.
not
with
Marvel
this.
It's
people.
just people
That's-
in general.
That's
Yes.
just people in general.
And
But-
so then they were desperate to get it under 2 hours.
yeah, so they had the mandate. This movie had to be sub 2 hours. So
also
it's
so they can have more run times.
yeah, and so it hit an hour 59, so it walked right up the line. But clearly, this was a 3-hour film.
That's something you should have done at script stage.
Exactly. So when you do that in post, after you've already done reshoots to pad in more time, and then you go, never mind, lose a whole hour, you end up with editing like this.
you end up
Yeah.
with a very
And I
weird
would
movie.
definitely buttress that, because like this is a movie where we're introducing Flash,
Yep.
Cyborg, and Aquaman, and a new Superman. Essentially,
Yeah.
we need to know who these people are.
For sure.
And you're giving no time with anybody.
No.
No, you get a little bit with Aquaman, but as we said, not a great scene.
Yeah.
You get nothing with the Flash, and then you see his dad, who was
Yeah.
good in
Which
the,
was a good scene.
Yeah, it's a good
yeah.
scene.
Eric Bana is a good choice.
Yeah, and then you get a really cool scene with Cyborg.
It's Billy Crudup.
Oh, it's Billy.
Yeah,
Billy
Billy.
He does look like Eric Bana.
I said Cavazeel and it's Billy Crudup.
I'm sorry.
It's not
We
Jesus.
all-
No,
it's
I
like
didn't
we
even
all had
question
3
it.
different people we thought he was. That's great.
I'm sorry.
It was Dr. Manhattan, guys. Come on.
I thought the same thing too. I was like, "That's Eric Bana." Oh wait, no, that's Jim Caviezel. And I was like
Yeah.
certain that I
Nope,
was
not
right.
Jim Caviezel. We're all wrong.
Nope, he's definitely a Snyder bro.
I'm sorry.
But that's the thing. So you add up all these characters, like one scenes, I think you have maybe 10 minutes in a 2-hour movie.
Barely.
Maybe 10. I'm
Barely
being
10
generous.
minutes, yeah.
Like, so So you're left with the editing thing, and I'm not trying to blame the editor with this movie. In fact, I don't blame a lot of the people for what went wrong with this movie. It was Warner Brothers just trying to shepherd
So much
it into
meddling.
something.
Yeah.
And they just fucked their own movie so hard.
They're their own worst enemy right now.
If anything,
But I was going to let John kind of handle the editing thing since he does work in editing. Like, so do I. But
well, I
does
mean,
more.
if anything, it's the editors who kind of saved what we managed to see. But there are a lot of in the action. The action is disjointed. There's so many moments where it's like I had to pay attention, but I was getting bored.
Remember when Superman shows up in front of Steppenwolf with the whole like Truth Justice line, and he like comes down, he's got like his like Superman pose, and then punches, and there's like a cut there. But
he punches, but you never see impact, and then he flies, and it's like, wait, hold on, I missed something. I missed like 5 or 6 frames.
Because I think they had to take things out for the editing, or maybe it just didn't hook up to what they had before. It's crazy. It's a crazy movie.
Like you just watch this movie, and like if you're to watch it like with your TV off and just listening to it, it might be fine. But like you're watching it, and it's just like, what scene are they in? What is going on? Like, how did we end up on this like CGI field? I've seen that location in 2 movies now. I've seen it in Man of Steel, and I've seen it in Batman v Superman. And then we come to Justice League, and suddenly we're on like a cartoon land when he comes back. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Lots of strange choices.
Well, even like with just the plotting of it, like that whole like when Steppenwolf activates the biodome, or whatever the fuck he was doing.
It's a biodome.
Yeah,
It's like a leaf.
yeah. It's this little nice organic little leafy thing, but like
a dainty little leaf ball.
Yeah, he activates it, and like in 2 scenes later, Batman's already blown a hole in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what
It's
was
not very strong.
Okay,
Yeah.
that actually brings us up to the thing that I hated the most is the scale of villains that Warner have made for their villains. Because Steppenwolf is a pushover. He's a pansy. Like, he's nothing. At least in terms of how he gets so...
Got a cool hat.
He's off.
He does have a cool hat.
He has a cool hat, but he's off with an ice thing that Superman did, but Batman has ice grenades in anything we've seen him in.
Yeah. Well,
And the
I
Amazons...
don't think I've ever seen him use an ice grenade, but he does have them in comics, yes.
Yeah.
And there's never any moment where I believed that he could have kicked the asses of any of the Amazons. I'm sorry. He's just such a weirdo.
Well, like Steppenwolf is like the vanguard to Apocalypse. He's useful
Yeah.
because he also has the parademons helping him.
Yeah.
In most cases.
And he's mostly useful because usually after he shows up, Darkseid is 10 feet behind him.
Yeah,
and then
that's
you're
true.
going to get fucked. But since they
Darkseid's
decide...
way cooler. Yeah,
Yeah,
why?
Darkseid's an
Why didn't we
amazing
just fight
villain.
Darkseid? That's much. I love stories about Darkseid.
They would have
They
had to
didn't
set
want to
him
do
up.
Darkseid because we have in Marvel Lana
Thanos.
coming out. Thanos
Thanos.
coming out. They're
But-
kind of like the
That's
same
true.
sort of
Everyone was
character.
so
But this was supposed to be Justice League Part 1, where he fights Steppenwolf, and Justice League Part 2 is when Darkseid shows up. But we got rid of Justice League Part 2, so now we just have this weird preamble to a movie that's not coming.
Right.
And it was never clear where he sits in terms of the pantheon of villains, I guess, if you will.
He's not-
Because
he's a grunt.
Ares, like Wonder Woman fought and defeated Ares.
Yeah.
And it made it look easy. Even though there was some personal struggle there, she defeated him, and now she is more powerful than Ares. And now Steppenwolf is like batting her around like she's a fly.
Well, she
he's
went
a
Super
grunt.
Saiyan in Wonder Woman. She did not go Super Saiyan in this movie.
But that's one thing that really bugged me about this movie. Like, it's yes, and when they all attack Superman at once to try to like chill him out, Wonder Woman is the only person on the team who can actually kick Superman's ass. It's a tough fight. Don't get me wrong. But she's as strong as he is. She can fight his equal.
I love
and
them
then,
headbutting each
The
other.
headbutt
like,
scenes.
but then, like
Yeah.
everybody comes at him and he's okay, and then the Flash is running by and he's like, "Yeah, I can see you," and it's like, "Oh, Superman's better than all of them combined." No, he's not. No, he's not. Wonder
I mean,
Woman
he-
is as strong as Superman.
No,
No,
she's
she's
not.
not.
She's
can,
not.
No.
She can defeat him.
Emily,
She
could
no.
defeat him.
She
Yes.
doesn't need the rest of the team to help her defeat him.
She could defeat him, yes. She's
That's
not
what I
as
mean.
strong
That's
as
I
him.
don't mean
Yeah.
physical strength. I mean like she is tough
but
and able
to the larger
fight him.
issue, there's just a problem of scale in terms of everyone and how they interact with each other. They're not obeying their own rules, and I'm never clear what the rules are. Even like
Don't
I would
set up
agree
the
for
rules.
they just
With the
don't
two
set
different
them
styles,
up.
with
Yeah.
the two different directors, they didn't establish rules.
Right.
They just didn't.
and
I mean-
it has the Marvel like they put Marvel problems into it, whereas it's like this is the stuff I'm having problems with when I watch these 17 other movies.
Yeah.
Why did you just distill them into like 20-minute scenes here?
Because everyone is complaining that they're not as good as Marvel movies, so they're trying to make
they're
them like that.
not
Yeah.
as good as Marvel.
Yeah, so there
movies.
it's just is so many problems collecting each other in this movie.
Yeah, like that's why I ultimately say I dislike it as much as I do, and while still enjoying it, like I still do enjoy it, but like like take for example what we were just talking about, like the scene where he sees the Flash running.
Oh my god, the best scene.
Like
in the
it's
movie.
fucking awesome. Like that's what I want to
That
see.
evil little like kind of smirk, but not really a smirk.
And just-
That's where the Flash is like, holy shit.
Yeah, and just Ezra Miller's expression of like,
What was great, because I know like the speed relationship between Flash and Superman, and Flash didn't understand the speed relationship
Yeah.
between Flash and
Yeah,
Superman.
that
At that
was-
moment. We're all in our heads thinking like the second we see that slow motion Flash running and it's on Ezra, you're like, Superman's gonna see you, dude. And then like you see the back of Superman, you're like, he hasn't done it yet. And you come back to Flash, you're like, oh my god.
that is a
great
scene,
moment.
Yeah.
That's a scene we've been wanting to see. Like
Yeah.
when you bring Superman and the Flash together, you're like, but yeah, Superman's kind of got that. Like he can figure that out too. And that the way they shot that was actually really well
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
And
that was awesome.
They put the Snyder slow motion on that and it worked really well. And they kind of hung on the Flash too long.
That's one scene I
But,
couldn't
like-
tell if it was Zack Snyder or Josh Whedon gave us that. That's one I couldn't figure, because like the
It's-
humor is definitely Whedon.
But it definitely
The
missed-
way it was shot was Snyder.
yeah,
hard to
definitely.
say.
Yeah.
I think it was a Snyder scene, and they because I could be
But
wrong
a
here.
Josh edit.
But
Okay.
what I think happened was in the original part of that, he's wearing the black suit, and they didn't want to have him wear the black suit at all, so they
Right.
reshot it in the red and blue.
I thought that was a mistake too.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's just
I
more
like the
stuff
black
they'd-
suit, but
it's more stuff they'd have to explain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
So
And they weren't
instead, we
interested in doing
got
that,
we
so-
got the hint of the black suit and the big banner attached to that bridge in England.
Yeah, and in the special features, you see
Yeah.
it.
One issue different than everything we've been mentioning. Before this movie came out, a bunch of people got all up in arms about the Amazons' outfits in the flashback.
I hate them.
Yeah,
Give me a second. I don't. And actually, speaking to the women who wore those outfits, they specifically said they are better for combat. And it also makes sense chronologically because that took place thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. So it makes sense their outfits would be different than what they wear currently
Or if
on
you're
their
thinking
island.
like they're like caveman times, it's like we
the-
barely have outfits.
you know, I
Clothing
might
was
hate- but
expensive back then.
the costume choice that I thought was irritating in this movie, every fucking outfit they gave Wonder Woman when she's casual accentuates her boobs.
Yeah, that outfit she's doing I was thinking when she was doing the like carving on that thing at the
Yeah.
beginning.
That really
she's wearing like the
tight
kind of
white
shit
dress.
you
She
wear
looked-
if you're the owner
yeah,
of an art
she
museum,
looks-
not the lady who does the.
To be fair,
Right,
she
and
looks
she's doing-
great,
she
but
looks-
yeah,
yeah.
it's totally
And
inappropriate.
then
You wear overalls to do
And
that.
then every other scene, she's wearing like these like activewear outfits that are just plunging to her belly button.
Yeah.
Every
And I'm
every
just like, what the frick is this?
every fan of Mass Effect will be like, hey, I remember that shot where they show her butt.
oh yeah. There's
Okay,
a lot
yeah, I was
around
gonna-
And then the
Yeah.
person in the background looking at her, talking to her.
I didn't notice
the-
that until like I think Honest Trailer, maybe Red Letter Media mentioned that. I was like, oh yeah, there are a lot
There's
of
her
butt shots
butt.
in this.
Yeah.
one.
Oh, there's a
The
lot of butt
I have a
shots.
lot of problems with the costuming in this, but you know, partly it might be the same reason I don't like the Batman. It might be the lighting. The same reason I didn't really
Well, these are cuts. These aren't lightings. This is like they took
what she's
fabric
wearing,
away.
yeah.
But like,
No,
say
no,
for
no,
the, but for the Batman
I-
one, that was designed to be a dark film, and then they didn't make it.
No,
one.
but what I mean about the Amazon thing is I also just don't like. I just don't like the way that they look. It's just nothing about that whole sequence with the Amazon. And this is also a personal Zack Snyder style. I just don't like. I don't like the way it felt. It always feels so cartoony. And I know it's a comic book movie, and
But
that's
what
what
did
he's
you
going
feel?
for.
Why did you dislike the outfits?
I just think that along with the look of that, I didn't like her like the how it's almost the opposite for Wonder Woman's mom Hippolyta. I felt like she was wearing too much actually. She
In
had
the modern scenes?
in the one where they were releasing where they released Steppenwolf.
That's
I just
the
didn't-
modern scenes.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I'm
you're
talking about the
when they're running
old
from
scenes.
the mother box. Is the
That's
one
what
you're
I'm talking
talking about the flashback.
The flashback.
Oh.
Because those are the outfits people had an issue with.
Oh no, they were still wearing them in the cave.
Yeah, yeah,
The
they're-
women in
They
the
were
background.
they were wearing
There,
armor.
no.
No.
There's a couple of women who had their midriffs exposed.
Yeah.
They like took down the door.
bodybuilder women.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. If that's the nitpick you want to go to,
I can-
But they
I
were
can-
bodybuilder women.
Yeah, I can forgive that one simply because like maybe that's their job.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
the larger women with the larger
Right.
abs and the larger.
Yeah,
everything.
got one
They
job,
were
guys.
showcasing
This is
Yeah,
what
they
I
also don't have shields or anything, so maybe
Yeah.
they're just there
This
with
is
hammers.
What I mean, the outfits combined with the lighting, combined with the shooting style, just the Patty Jenkins version, it looked and felt so real.
Yeah.
and they felt so badass. And in this, it was so styly and so like I don't.
You
it
even
just
look at
did-
like
I didn't.
how Themyscira looks in this movie. It's like dark and drab, and it's like doesn't feel like there's a lot of life to it. But you compare it to how it looked in the Wonder Woman movie, it's very light,
Very
and
different
lifelike.
situations, though.
Oh, well, it could be parts of
Tonally,
the
and,
island
like, the
too.
emotions of the
Fair.
scenes.
And it also could be different parts of the island too.
Yeah.
But like, there's the flashback sequence, which looked like the same island. I'm not sure if that was also Themyscira.
I think it was supposed to be, but they don't say, so who knows?
Yeah.
But there's something about that flashback that we need to talk about before we move on, and that's there's a fucking Green Lantern.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that was
But
cool.
I saw that. I was like, Brian.
wanted to- before we get into that, I do want to give credit to Zach in one thing that was not in the Patty Jenkins movie. A hint to them being lesbians.
Oh yeah,
The part when Hippo, I can never say her name.
Palta.
Hippopalta. She's
not Hippopalta.
sorry. The part where she gets kicked off her horse with her lady friend.
That was
She
sad.
gets more emotional over that one woman dying than any other woman, and there's clearly something going on there. So, props to that, because a lot of times people like to gloss over that they're probably banging each other.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Green Lantern. I've mentioned many times in this podcast. I will mention many times beyond this. Green Lantern is my favorite comic book. And when going into this movie, there was rumors that there was going to be a Green Lantern in it, and I was very excited. I was really hoping to be Arnie Hammer as Hal Jordan. I was really getting pumped for it. And then I heard there was a post-credit sequence where Kilowog and Tomore show up to Superman's house and saying, "We need you out in space." I'm like, "Oh, that's gonna be so cool! I'm looking forward to all this stuff." And what do we get? Green Lantern, who's killed within 30 seconds of screen time.
He
And we
uses
don't
a,
even see who that is.
Nope.
he wills a big hammer thing.
He does. It's 3 seconds, and it's like that was the best part of the whole movie.
That was the
That
best
battle
3
could-
seconds of the movie.
Yeah, that battle could have been lasting for days. We don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But still, I'm just talking screen time. It's like Green Lantern, and he's dead. Come the fuck on.
When you saw that, I was really excited to see Artemis.
Yeah.
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 I was just excited to see the Olympians in general. I was just...
Who was the? That was one thing I couldn't really tell because they obviously weren't naming everyone. There's so many Easter eggs in that flashback
There was a
battle.
Hercules, I know
There was
that.
a Hercules. Who was the one who did like the final lightning blast that's
Zeus.
separate? Was
I'm
that
pretty
Probably
sure it was
Zeus.
Zeus.
Yeah.
It should have been.
That's what I would assume, but since they weren't naming anyone and no
Yeah.
one really looked like their comic book characters, short of Green Lantern, obviously, it was kind of tough to pick out who was who. But clearly, like that was just a smorgasbord of just like let's just throw as many references as we can into like 3 seconds.
If ever a scene needed like 10 times more slow motion, it was that one. And I'm being serious because
You
there was
mean-
so many chances to be like post like
You mean the
painterly
Lord,
style.
Yeah,
like,
the Lord of the Rings prologue sequence.
yeah, totally.
I'm fine with it not having it so...
but it missed the Snyder element of just that like he's
guess.
good at composition, and I wanted paintings. Like he
I
does
feel
this
like it
visual
would have
painting
taken too
thing.
long and we wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if that is
No,
true.
but okay. So go on this ride with me for 2 seconds. What would the movie be if that's how it opened? Like if the opening of the
That
film
should have been the
That would've
opening.
been amazing.
Should've been
That
the
should have been
opening.
the
was
opening.
a 10-minute
a lot
battle.
more people would have been excited.
Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
amazing opening sequence,
better.
and then
Set-
it pulls back and you
sets
find
up-
out that it's Hippolyta telling Diana this story of like how this came
Yeah.
to be, and
Yeah.
you go through this whole thing, and it sets up. Oh, the mother boxes are a thing, and we
Sets
have
up
one.
Then I
Steppenwolf
wouldn't
as a
understand
character.
what the
too.
fuck was
Yeah.
going on.
Like how do we miss this stuff? Like this is so easy. That's a 10.
And you
like,
could have fixed that in editing.
Yeah, you could fix it in editing and a 1-day reshoot with a scene between Hippolyta
Yeah.
and the girl who played Wonder Woman as the young child, and done. And suddenly the movie makes more sense and it's enjoyable and it gives you an actual intro to the film, not with this random sequence of.
Should have hired you to do their post, Brian.
I like doing script doctoring. People can hire me. But like, it's a very easy fix. It's just literally lift and move, and suddenly the movie makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it's more engaging. It gets you into the film.
You're fixing one of the things that is a problem with the movie. Like, I do not like where that Batman sequence was in the beginning of the
I
movie.
agree.
It was just confusing.
It's a weird time
Like-
for it. It's
not
a cool
bad
sequence.
like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I can have issues with the sequence, but that's me nitpicking. Like, for example, like when that bag came out of that window, I was really excited. I was like, is it Catwoman?
That would
I
have
was
been
like,
awesome.
oh, it was just some
cool.
dude with a gun.
Yeah.
Just
like,
like
why-
one dude with a gun. Like Batman can take out like 2 kind of like cat burglars, and it'd be like showing his skills a little bit. Like that guy. The other thing that guy had, he had that line about after he got used as bait. He's like, "It's because Superman's not here, right?" I'm like, "Who the fuck are you, little Mr. Criminal person? Why are you concerned about
give
the
a shit about
geopolitical
Superman.
concepts of a hero not existing in our
You
world?"
guys aren't in
But again,
Metropolis.
another easy fix:
Yeah.
make that Deathstroke.
Yeah,
They
'cause
need
you
to have
had
reason to
Deathstroke
get-
You already
anyway.
want to tease Deathstroke for the next Batman movie. All right, so
Sure.
have him
Wait,
chasing Deathstroke
also,
at the beginning of the film.
was that Manu Bennett?
The guy.
Who was playing Deathstroke?
Joe Montagnier.
Yeah, John.
I couldn't tell at first, and I was
Sexy
like,
stuff
that would have
from
been
True
awesome
Blood.
if
Another
that was
like,
Manu Bennett.
oh my god, him next to Momoa in a movie together, playing these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It could happen.
It's
should
not
just-
going to happen.
They're my nice guys.
They're so.
I like that.
will-
Speaking of which, I loved the scene of Momoa going into the ocean. It was just like, this is...
No.
Chewie
this
gets
is
so
just
mad
like
at
I
the
hate
scene.
that scene.
taking his clothes off?
Wait,
He
which
doesn't take off his jeans.
Oh, that's true. That's true. He does go swimming in his jeans. It's weird.
It's annoying on 2 levels. 1, denim feels awful in
Yeah,
water.
it does.
Yes.
I know this.
2, I wanted to see his butt.
I also wanted to see his butt. If we got to look at Wonder Woman's butt, we need to be able to look at
It-
Aquaman's
Yes.
It's
butt.
that's breaking the rules. You only get women butt and you get man ass. That's the rules.
So annoyed.
It's a good point.
It's a very good point. The last thing I really want to harp on in this movie, and we've already just been kind of harping on it throughout the whole thing, and
There's plenty to harp on.
there's so much to harp on, and we've been talking for about an hour. But I think this is kind of the end of it, and it's not just that Batman doesn't work as a character as he's been established in the past film.
He's the worst Batman
He's
on
the
film.
worst Batman on film.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Wait,
And
wait a minute. Well,
Which one are we
I'm
talking
talking
about?
about George Clooney and Val Kilmer. I don't...
Okay.
George Clooney, I'll
Here's
George
the thing.
Clooney's the worst Batman ever to be.
Yeah,
around.
Here's the thing. Clooney was at least being campy. This Batman's the dumbest Batman.
he's an idiot, and
Yeah.
like
When Batman should not be dumb.
And that's the thing. Like, say what you will about Batman for Superman. I know a lot of people don't like it.
I
I
don't
love
like it.
Batman in that movie, and this is not the same character.
Yeah,
like
they dumb
not at
Batman
all.
down in
Yeah.
this movie.
Um,
Whedon totally went. But
so-
Batman needs to be
Quippy.
Yeah.
cuter.
So here's the thing that I think that we should round this thing up with. It's that this movie is the epitome of too many cooks in the kitchen.
Oh yes.
Like this,
Too many
there's
cooks.
yeah.
No.
But so having Bryan here, who's worked with DC characters, what do you think they could have done differently?
Okay. So first
Just
up,
like from one strong voice,
yeah,
as
like
opposed to 20 weak voices.
like people complain about they want to see the Zack Snyder cut and they think that would have been a better movie. I do not agree. I think the movie would have been worse, but that's my point of view of
Sure.
like how he makes these movies. I think if you were gonna put Josh Whedon on the movie, you should have started with Josh Whedon or any director really. Yeah, having two separate visions definitely conflates the issue because like there's sometimes where Batman is the Batman we saw in Batman v Superman, and then it's the like quippier, lighter Batman. I'm like, these things feel incongruent. Wonder Woman's fairly consistent through the whole thing because they understand Wonder Woman's super successful and really well done right now, so they're not going to touch her. You need to set up these characters. I would not have had like I think John has the best point. He was like Aquaman didn't need to be in the movie. Fully agree. He's a useless character right now. You can set up Flash and you can make this a cyborg movie because he's at least connected to the mother boxes. Like that interesting. That like one of my favorite points. I shouldn't say this because quoting my line, but it's the hero's journey to this like teenager who got this power and responsibility, and then hang out with these other heroes, and learning to use his powers from them.
yeah,
They do that a little bit with the Flash, which was a decent scene between him and Batman, but like that should really be Cyborg's world. Flash had already been established
yeah, I'd agree with that
in,
for sure.
in a lot
Yeah.
of ways,
Pick
and then
up POV.
yeah, like you need a single POV, but the problem is Warner Brothers they're chasing the Marvel tail when they shouldn't need to do that because they're DC. They already have like they're ahead of the game like 20 years before Marvel even
More
thought.
than 20 years. They've
Yeah.
been making these movies since the 70s.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that they keep doing the whole fact that this movie had to come out now, despite the fact Zack Snyder had a tragedy. Like, I didn't want Zack Snyder in this movie. I don't want to have his daughter die because of this.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how heartbreaking that is.
And
But
he loves his family.
yeah.
Yeah,
And,
clearly.
And because of that, I'm like, that's like you should have held the movie back.
Yeah,
Let him finish the film.
yeah, because the difference
They
is
want to compete with Marvel so badly that they like I said in the beginning, they ruined 30 years plus of what these
Yeah,
characters
they have
should
three of the
done.
most iconic characters in all of fiction.
The best comic book characters ever made.
Yeah.
They have them. They own them.
Definitely.
Or at least they did.
like the Trinity is like you don't get better than that. Like they are just the best, and the fact that like the whole trying to jam two different peoples who are very different filmmakers. Like it wasn't like when Nolan and Snyder got together for Man of Steel, it was a weird pairing, but
That
I
would have
thought,
made more sense.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but like they made more sense together. It's like this guy doesn't talk enough, this guy talks too much, and they're both like very showy. I could see them kind of shepherding a good story together. I don't love Man of Steel, but I could see why they were a good fit for each
The
other.
result is interesting.
Yeah, this one like it's water and oil. Like they don't match.
I would have loved, because Marvel started with, we're going to build a team. I would have loved it if this movie had happened organically. If it had been just like, here's Batman trying to fix something. He knows he can't do it alone, so he goes and asks Diana for help. And then they realize there's mother boxes. Well, there's this guy I've heard about who could, or maybe he's also looking into it, and they stumble into him, and the team forms on its own as opposed to Batman going, here's some people who are cool. Let's form a team to fight bad guys. That didn't.
But here's the thing: I think they thought they were making what you just said.
Oh.
I think they're like, if they found out that wasn't the movie they made, they'd go, wait, what? Like, I feel like they thought they were making this really organic, like, oh, we need the team to be the film, and it's just no.
I mean, look at no further than that one sequence in Batman v Superman. It's clearly like marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing. We gotta give you the trailers, the other characters. Like Marvel, when they tease like other heroes like Hawkeye and Thor, like Black Widow and Iron Man 2, it's like they are introduced organically into the narrative of the story. Like they're SHIELD agents and they kind of like spies. But like with this, it's just like I found some trailers with some people we might want to
time to
call
activate
later.
the sleeper or whatever. It's like they don't know that.
Yeah, and they kind of do that in Man of Steel. With I think they do mention Amazonians and Atlanteans at one point.
I don't. I haven't watched it in a while.
Because I think what Man of Steel is indicating that the Kryptonians who came to Earth like as explorers were the ancient Amazonians and
oh, that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
So
sure.
it's just kind of like seeding the mythos of why there's like weird powered characters on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a trilogy about Superman in this movie somewhere. Not this one, but like the Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, that you can kind of see the framework for that Snyder was trying to do. And had they just let him make that trilogy, like...
It still would have been awful.
I mean, but if you don't like Snyder, sure. But if you're a Snyder fan, it was exactly what we wanted.
It would have been consistent.
Yeah, it would have been consistent. So,
yes.
It would have had a point.
But they stumbled from the word go. Like, they made Man of Steel the movie they wanted to make, and then they're making Man of Steel 2. Oh, we want to put Batman in it. Actually, we want to make Batman a main character. So they made him keep rewriting and rewriting.
But we also
rewriting.
want to put Wonder Woman
and
in
then,
there.
actually, let's throw Wonder Woman in there, too. And Lex Luthor's actually be a villain this time. And Warner Brothers just couldn't get out of their own damn way. And like they just... So that's why...
Oh, like Aquaman has a line when he's referring to Flash. When he's on the lasso, he's like, "You're tripping over me, yourself, and me."
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I do like that the Flash trips.
Yeah.
I feel
That's
like
how fast he trips, and
Yeah.
it's just like terrible. You're like, oh no.
But every other thing you've seen about somebody with super speed, Marvel and
never
DC,
trip.
they never trip.
Yeah.
And this one's just like, he's still learning, and I like that.
That
was nice.
To me,
Yeah.
in general, it's beyond all of the other issues. It's just really interesting how they got Superman so right in the 70s. And ever since then, we've been floundering.
Yeah, it's really...
Like, it's just like no one can agree on what Superman should be in this modern age.
Animated series pulled it off.
I actually thought
And actually,
the
Supergirl.
Superman and Supergirl was fantastic.
he was really good. And I actually think
in
Henry
the
Cavill in
movies,
this
they
is
just
great.
don't
but
know.
it took too long to get there.
He
By
should
the-
be more
Well,
Unchained, I think.
This is like a
yeah.
totally new
Unbound.
This is
Unbound.
Right, Unbound.
Superman Unbound. This is like a totally new Superman too, and you can almost make the argument that when he resurrects, he's like reformed. But they had that sequence with the kids, and they were talking to him on the phone. That was in the past. That was before he died. So I'm like, that wasn't the Superman Zack Snyder gave us.
No, not at all. The happy, like, oh, I'll interview these kids.
Yeah.
That was not the same Superman.
The Superman Zack Snyder hated helping people.
And like that's, I honestly think for me, out of everything that I dislike in this movie, and I'll keep saying it. Remember, I like this movie. Out of all the things that I dislike in this movie, that cell phone video in the beginning was the worst way to open this film.
Well, because his mouth was... That's where his mouth
it
looks
was
the worst
distracting.
in that
No,
one.
his mouth looks the worst at the yes, ma'am.
That was bad. That was
I
bad.
howled. I howled. I was like, what the fuck? I freaked out because it was... I mean, it was a horror film in that moment.
Yeah, it looked like one of those like cartoon, like those videos where like you have like the cartoon mouths over like the politicians.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looked
I
like.
want bad lip reading to take all
Again,
his mouth
Yeah.
scenes and do
They
something
could
with it.
have... The special effects, they could have made them so much better if they didn't have to just push it out.
It had to get out in the calendar
Agreed.
year of last
Like,
year.
They
even
all would have been better.
Cyborg's body doesn't track half the
No.
time.
Nope.
And even when Superman's flying, because we saw him fly in Man of Steel and he looked great.
Yep.
And then we see him flying in this movie and he looks just as good as Steppenwolf does.
Yeah.
Everything was clearly not finished.
And like that's like you even go back to like Batman or Superman, like the scene like where he throws Lois off the roof and and she's falling and there's like the slow motion, she slowly stops falling. You see that Superman's caught her, like great flying sequence.
Yeah,
it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It feels like a much... I said this when I saw the premiere. It was like, it feels like a much cheaper movie, even though it was one of the most expensive movies they ever made.
Well, because they shot it twice.
Did you
That
know
adds to the budget.
it should be added that they put the Superman riff from the original 70s movie in his first punch was like, I know something about the truth.
Oh yeah,
And-
totally.
They did that with Batman too.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. Like that line when he comes back was like made goosebumps on my arm. Like I'm a fan of truth, but I'm also a pretty big fan of justice. I'm like, that's fucking
That's
Superman.
Superman. That-
Like,
That's good alluding right there.
Yeah.
I have a small problem with that sequence too. I'm glad it's in there, but the fact that like he says that line, you turn around and he's like right behind Steppenwolf. You don't see him like come down from the sky.
it would have been nice to shadow him coming in.
Yeah.
Clearly,
It's
he
like-
rolled a 20 on stealth.
Exactly. yeah, I don't know if he like came through the front door or he come from the bottom. It's just like you're just there suddenly. That's not Superman's not Batman. Batman would do that, but Superman would you'd see him come down.
You'd see him come.
The fact that they did that, I have another point about this too. The fact that referencing the Donner Superman and the Tim Burton Batman, they have several lines which Gordon and I think Alfred does or Bruce Wayne does, where they said Bruce Wayne's like, I've been doing this for 20 years. That's when the Tim Burton film came out.
Yeah.
Are they saying that this is the Tim Burton Batman?
I don't hope not. I don't know.
I don't think
But
so.
they used the Tim Burton theme.
Well, that's just because Danny Elfman did both.
Yeah, that's just
Danny Elfman was very happy when he was able to use it again.
All
He
right.
even said, and he didn't like the Wonder Woman theme, which is why he didn't use it. Which I was.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
No, they do use it.
They use it, but it's not the same. It's
Okay.
they use the same notes, but it's not the same instrumentation anymore.
It's weird how there's a lot of people that don't
that
like
theme.
that theme.
I
Actually,
like
hate
that
it.
thing.
I hate it.
I think it's badass.
it's weird. I don't why. Why can you tell me
We've
why?
been through it before. Because I enjoy the music, but I don't. What Hans Zimmer did, and beyond falling asleep on his keyboard,
I know Christopher Nolan.
but he and Junkie XL tried to make a theme song for Superman, for Batman, and for Wonder Woman. They all had their own distinct songs, and when they hit, you hear the song. It's like, oh, that's this character every time. Danny Elfman didn't do that, and he said that he did. He's like, oh yeah, Aquaman has his own theme. Hum it. I dare Danny Elfman to hum his own music.
No, I didn't catch any of like the themes I didn't already know.
Danny Elfman
Exactly,
he kind of has the same track record because of how much he was with Tim Burton for such a long time. Great.
It's really because I think he's a phenomenal composer. I really like Danny
Yeah,
Elfman,
it's
but
just-
I don't.
He hasn't done anything phenomenal in a while.
But I
though.
think
No, agreed.
Whedon's choice to fire Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL off of this was one of the worst decisions.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. Like this movie feels so different because in sound it sounds differently too. Like Zack Snyder would never score a movie this way.
Regardless of how I think about that theme, at least it would have been consistent having on here. It was weird that it was not on there.
Yeah, because you play it once when you're introduced to her, and then that's it.
Yeah.
That scene too. I love when she's like blocking the bullets from what's his face, Bolton from Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
why weren't they connected to the plot?
yeah.
I assume that
Why did they know that Steppenwolf was coming?
they didn't.
No, when he's got the lasso on him, is like, oh no, wait, he's talking about the bomb.
No, he's
Sorry.
talking about the bomb.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's
Yeah,
the
it
thing.
wasn't
I
connected
wish
to the
they
plot
were
at all.
connected. I assumed when that was going down, I was like, oh, they're going to be inner gang.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we seen a superhero take out some people robbing a bank? We've seen it 800 million times. It's the easiest go-to plot device to
Yeah.
show our superhero being a superhero.
They connected Batman taking out one cat burglar to the main plot. They couldn't do that to Wonder Woman.
yeah, it would have made
We're
more
like,
sense.
can we not have people robbing a bank? Can
Right.
we just do like anything
Also,
else?
I'll talk about their plot. They
Classic.
weren't robbing a bank. They were terrorists. They just want to cause
right.
like destruction to
were
make
blowing
the
up a
world.
bank.
Yeah, they were actually had the same plan as Ra's al Ghul's shadow organization. They want to like return Earth into a more simpler time by causing terrorism.
Yeah.
but like, how would you have done that?
But
with
then
just
why not
blowing
make
up
that a
one
Ra's al
building?
Ghul character?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
should
why
have
not have
been
it working
Ra's
for
al
the
I
Ghul.
mean,
Assassins.
you were
Yeah.
in like a Gotham. Well, you're in those areas. Gotham exists.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like-
Ra's al Ghul exists.
Warner Brothers is poised to do better with this than Disney every step of the way because they own all their characters.
Right, it's like they
there's
don't
no
even-
reason
Well,
not to do it.
here's-
What a great rogues gallery they have, and they didn't use.
Here-
and people
here's a-
know these characters.
Yeah, here's an old problem with Warner Bros. Which might be coming into play in these movies, and I know this working with like other DC properties. You're not allowed to use all the characters without paying for the rights to the characters because of the way Marvel bought and
Sure.
like Marvel, when you do a Marvel character, Marvel owns the character. They
Right.
can do whatever they want with you. But when DC had their licensing for the characters from their artists, the artists still maintain rights to the characters.
Oh, okay.
So if I wanted to use Flash, I would have to pay the family to whoever owns
Got it.
Infinite
Okay.
Flash
That makes
to
more
use
sense.
Flash. That's why they couldn't have a lot of crossovers, even like the Batman animated series days. It was like
okay.
like Wonder Woman never showed up in Superman because they would have had to pay to use Wonder Woman.
That makes a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass, but it makes
It's
sense.
a
Right.
pain in the ass for the films themselves, but in regards of being a good company towards artists, it's so much better.
Oh,
I
yeah, for
fully
sure.
agree.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's a catch-22. I'm like, well, either write clever solutions around that or pay for it.
Yeah. And if you're going to make the Justice League, like arguably one of the most well-known teams, if it wasn't for the Avengers movies, I would argue that more people know about the Justice League than the Avengers.
And that was definitely the
yeah,
case.
like,
yeah.
So like
I always thought the Avengers were just like the hacks next to Justice League.
yeah, I mean
growing
Justice
up.
League were like they were the team. Like they were like even like going back to like the early 80s 70s like Super Friends was a huge show. Like people know and love the Justice League. If you're going to make this movie, fucking pay up and do it right. Don't shoot it twice and just make it shittier. Like
Who gets the cameos in the Scooby-Doo cartoons?
Yeah.
Definitely not Marvel.
So it's like it's one of those things where like I love this movie for the promise that it was going to be, not for the movie that it is. And I can watch it a billion times just because I like watching Batman on a movie screen. But it's the same reason I can watch George Clooney as Batman and not hate it. It's like I know it's not good, but it's still Batman.
I think I'm done with this movie now.
Yeah.
I've seen it 3 times.
I want to throw one more thing this movie is missing. There's no Martian Manhunter, and I'm upset about that.
Well, that's because Cyborg's there.
Yeah.
When they
pretty much.
restructured Justice League, they kicked out Martian Manhunter and put in
Yeah.
Cyborg.
Yeah,
upsetting.
because you needed another token black character.
Yeah.
And Martian Manhunter's not really even black. He's
No,
Martian
but he's often
Manhunter-
played by black men.
But
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
I know. But,
but-
like he's green. That's your
But in the
black guy.
upcoming Justice League, they are kicking out Cyborg and putting back in Martian
can
Manhunter.
Oh,
have
because he's
both
going
in
to
there.
Titans, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
I
you can
love
have more than
because
one.
their skill sets
Yeah,
don't overlap.
it's just like you can't have Black Canary and Wonder Woman on the team at the same
See,
time.
like it made more sense kicking out Martian Manhunter because they had basically the same skill set as Superman.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that makes sense. You don't want 2 Supermans on the team.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. But now Cyborg is a
Cyborg
weird person.
and Martian Manhunter don't interlap.
So you don't want to be OP as a
Yeah,
league?
like-
like you don't want an OP league? Like I don't.
Oh, you know what? One more thing I will say positively about this movie before we move into quotes and wrap the thing up. Something that Marvel hasn't done, and I didn't really want to harp on the Marvel DC, but it's kind of impossible at this day and age. That I like that they did in this movie more so than they do in the Marvel movies is I thought they did a really good job showing the team fighting one person. It wasn't a great fight, but most of the time in Marvel movies, there's the ultimate bad guy off in the corner sending out punchable henchmen, and nobody's actually fighting him to the end when it's like basically a one-hit kill. Whereas this time we had Flash, Wonder Woman, and Superman, and actually everyone but Batman fighting Steppenwolf at one time. And the only Marvel movie that's done that and did it well was Big Hero 6, which was animated. And they did a really good job of everyone fighting one guy. And this movie did that. It wasn't perfect, but I still like. That's what I love about the team up movies. Of like that guy's so powerful, you need to have a team to fight.
I even just enjoyed it when it was Aquaman and Wonder Woman taking.
Yeah, that was really cool.
because it was kind of like the Atlantean and the Amazon taking on like they know how combat like this works.
Yeah, totally.
Superman doesn't fight like that.
No. Superman dives into people and pushes them through a billion buildings.
Yeah.
Poor Metropolis.
They have a great construction.
They do.
Yeah.
Metropolis is
That's
like,
where it
oh
goes,
shoot,
the
he's
construction.
back. Oh great, he's back.
Oh, he's alive again.
Fuck.
Fuck.
That last scene with Metropolis too was great too. Like Clark Kent being Clark Kent.
Yeah. Oh my god, the credit tag of the Superman Flash race, like just
Okay,
pure
guys,
joy.
Flash needs to win.
How do they rationalize Clark Kent being alive?
Same way they do in the books.
Always a problem.
How did they do that?
What do you mean?
But like,
They had a funeral for Clark Kent.
yeah, and they revealed
I'm-
in the newspaper he was Superman.
Yeah, I'm dealing with this the exact same way they do in the books. What are you talking about?
What? Jesus.
What do you mean? I'm dealing with
A
it.
problem. Yeah, I thought that
You
was
just
at
ignore.
the end of Batman v Superman. That was my problem too. I was like, why would you tell everyone he's Clark Kent now?
I mean, they just had that problem with Rebirth, and then when Superman came back to life, there was 3 Clark Kents, and they're like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
We went from none to 3.
Yeah,
I mean, I have
It was
this.
a
I have
really-
this delightful theory that the entirety of Metropolis knows that he's Superman, but they all like, dude, he doesn't want us to know.
It's a Truman show.
Just don't tell me no.
I feel like
just
that-
act surprised every time.
So
Like,
you're walking
he's
into the
changing.
office. Gee,
Yeah.
Clark, there was a really scary thing going on outside right now. I wish Superman was here.
I feel like that about the TV shows. Like at this point, who doesn't know who the Green Arrow is?
Right?
He's been
changing in a
accused of
phone
being the
booth.
Green Arrow like every season.
He's changing in a phone booth.
Call out to
before
that
this
sketch.
going.
Call it to the College Humor sketch, I think, with Batman and being mistaken. Like, you're Bruce, right? It's when he's jumping off the roof, and Rachel Dawes is like, "What people do that define me?" And it's like, Bruce, what? No.
Also,
Now the best
I
thing.
believe it was Collar Trimmer. Yeah.
also, everyone figured out Bruce Wayne's identity in this. Like,
Well, he just
no
kept fucking
problem.
telling everyone.
And he kept and like Gordon and like Alfred had no qualms just saying in public like
Yeah.
Bruce Batman. Like,
But then
Do you want to know my secret identity?
Yeah.
And they do the joke where Flash says it really loud, and he's like, "Oops!" Everybody should. But no
That
one
was
seems
funny.
concerned. But the Flash. So
Yeah.
That was funny though.
no, he got a lot of good lines.
Yeah. Ezra Miller was great. There's a lot of good things in this movie, but then there's a lot of things that just
Yeah,
I would
it's-
say there's a lot
my,
of good things.
My friend described it like this: it's like a cookie with cockroaches in it.
At least it's crunchy.
Yeah, it's,
We love crunchy food.
it's true. That
I
makes
love
it,
crunchy food.
Makes it a little more consistent.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into quotes. I apologize to my friend Justice League the
It's a
movie
lot
for
of fiber
being so
and
mean
protein,
to it.
guys.
It's funny that you like it, but
You
you,
hurt
say
the
it's
ones
the
you love.
worst.
I guess.
I like DC movies. The only one that I kind of go back and forth is this one worse than is Suicide Squad. And the only reason why I go Suicide Squad over this one is because Suicide Squad's tone is consistent the whole way through.
Fair.
And that's the only thing it has above this. Otherwise, this one's better 10 times full.
Still haven't seen Suicide Squad.
There's more butts in Suicide Squad.
Oof,
Are there
Suicide
man
Squad's
butts?
rough.
Some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, Suicide Squad is a rough watch.
It's rough.
The amount of good things in this one outweigh that one by a
Yeah,
long
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I own it on Blu-ray, so
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm the wrong
I
person.
remember when they came in, I was just like, really, honey?
The way I judge this one is that I think Wonder Woman's the best movie they've done so far.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
Out of
sure.
this line.
Yeah.
But like this is second, but like a way
Yeah.
deep second.
It's sad that this is in second place. But
Yeah.
All right. So my quote for this one comes from Superman because of course it does because Superman's the best and seeing actual Superman in a movie was wonderful. So it's after he's back alive and their Flash is on control of trying to get people out of the city. And he's running to get a family who's in a stalled truck. And as he's running as fast as he can, Superman just slowly comes up on him, looks at him, and goes, "Slowpoke." That's just like that's just so Superman. It's like this cheesy dad joke. Like, and then there's more to that line, but that's really just the one that I liked was just Slowpoke.
I like the part in Thermoscara when they need to light the pyre, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the one lady says, "It's been 5,000 years. Man won't know what it means." And
Hippolyta.
Hippolyta.
Just says, "She will."
That's a great moment.
Yeah.
That was good.
I forgot the punctuation of mine. The line that I liked so much because of that was you see the Flash with the truck, all proud of himself, and then he looks over to his right, and Superman's carrying the whole fucking building.
That sequence is great.
It's just like, oh, it's so Superman.
Also, Flash is like, this is definitely East.
Also, the construction team for that building, also heroes, because that thing was able to stay together with one point of like impact right there.
Also, really quick about the random Russian family, you can tell that's Josh Whedon.
Oh, yeah.
Because Zack Snyder
yeah.
does not give a shit about civilians.
No.
Next.
I'll go. Mine is a review of the movie too. At the same time, it's when Superman's got Batman by the face up in the air, and he's like, "The world needs you," Batman says, and Superman is like, "But it doesn't need you."
That's a good one.
Ouch.
Do you bleed?
We didn't talk about the scene where Batman is just a fucking asshole to Wonder Woman and everyone else calls him on it, which is clearly a Joss Whedon scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're all in agreement about that. And then after he says that, and I myself on my couch went, "Whoa, what a fucking asshole!" And then Flash just goes, "If she kills you," or no, I'm sorry, Batman I think was like trying to get them all on his side, and then Flash was just like, "If she kills you, we'll cover for her."
That's great for so many reasons. Because like, because she's right, and because you're not going to go against Wonder Woman.
Yeah, he's already afraid of her.
Yeah.
Who hasn't gone?
I haven't gone.
Oh, right.
Did anyone catch that Flash actually said "fuck" in the movie?
Oh no.
Yeah, when he trips the first time when they were in the little silo under Gotham.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh fuck, I didn't see."
Yeah,
all
I
this,
didn't catch it.
The subtitles. I was watching in subtitles.
Wow. That's how they use their one fuck?
Yeah. I didn't even think it'd be in there.
Yeah.
But like Cyborg calls Batman an asshole, so they were definitely throwing down curse words. That's not my favorite. That's not my quote. It should be though.
Oh, fuck.
My quote. I'm not just saying this because I'm black and Cyborg's black, but like, this is just my favorite scene is the first sequence with Cyborg and his dad, and then they're talking about like, do people know I'm alive? And the dad says, "Well, I don't think it would be like really comfortable to bring you." He's like, "Why?" "Because of the monster." And the dad's like,
Oh,
"Oh
yeah.
no, it's not about you." And he's like, and then Cyborg, this is the line he says, "It's funny that you thought I was talking about myself."
That's
Great
such a
line.
good
Touching moment.
Great line
It's a
because
great
like.
dig into your
Ouch.
dad.
Yeah, because like I want to put Cyborg's dad in the Titans Go cartoon, but it's a little dark. I wanted to also have him married to like Rosie the Robot, so it's like, oh, that's why he's a cyborg. But Cyborg's backstory is so tragic because like he was basically mutilated by his dad's experiment, and that's what also killed his mother. So he has like deep resentment for his father for not just making him into this like metal man, but also like ruining his life. And so like that line that he just straight up called his dad a monster.
That's
like oof, that cuts deep.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
I want to give honorable mention to the line toward the end where they're all being dumb, and Wonder Woman just goes, "Children, I work with children."
Yeah, that's pretty fitting. All right, so review system for this week.
She is way older than all of them.
She is.
Well, yeah.
By at least 3 years.
Well, we'll see how we do with this. Movies that studios ruined.
Oh, so many.
There really are. Go for it.
Tim Burton, Planet of the Apes.
Oh, goodness.
It's not good.
Ooh.
Maybe the Josh Trank Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one went through a lot of heady stuff.
Are we going to do our normal, like, telling whys?
Yeah, you can. You don't have to. I don't really press on people for that if
Okay.
they can't think of a good reason
All
why.
right, well, mine's Alien 3, anyways.
Oh.
Talk about a movie that could have, had every opportunity to be great, and then people just didn't understand why we liked the original so much.
Yeah.
Poor David Fincher.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Why?
Just because of all the stuff they had to add into that movie to keep it. They wanted to make a Sinister Six thing. They were trying to build it towards something, and they just forgot to make anyone care.
Very similar to what happened in this movie.
Yeah, fuck. You just gave me mine. Spider-Man 3.
No, what are you talking about? Finger guns are always a good choice.
Oh my god! Hey, we have this great movie. It's about the Vulture. It's going to be incredible. We want Venom. No.
No, Sandman. He wanted Sandman.
He wanted
originally.
Vulture for 3, and then they said no. So he said, "All right, I'll do Sandman." And then he's going to do Vulture for 4. He already cast John Malkovich, and it was going to be awesome.
Oh.
That would've been cool.
And that didn't happen.
And then they dyed his hair black and gave him finger guns, and everyone went, no!
That's where Sony should have been fired off of Spider-Man. I'm not even fired off of something you own, but they should have been fired off of Spider-Man.
That would have been a great historical moment. Sony got fired off of its own property.
Its own property said, no, we're done with you.
It became sentient.
I mean, that's essentially what Fox did with Fantastic Four.
Ooh.
Woof. Okay, so that brings today's fun episode to a close. I can go back to
It feels cathartic in a way.
It really feels good to vent all my frustrations with the movie, just so I can get them out and then go back to enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because it's.
I'd rather rewatch BVS.
So would I.
Ugh.
We're killing Brian.
No.
God.
Do we have to pick one of those two? Can we watch a movie that's good, like Force Awakens?
Okay, hold on.
I back that
Let
up.
me see if I can copy it.
I'll choose one of the other Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I'd watch any other Star Wars movie than that one again.
Because you're dumb.
No.
You like this movie. Your taste is just
it's
not,
all skewed.
not
It's
right.
all
over the
place.
board.
See,
I'm
but guys,
well aware of it.
okay, let's not be the internet here. You can like something and still have problems with it. Let's not have the hate-love meter that you freaking have.
no.
At, like,
I think we've
the-
done a great job with that today. Because
Yeah.
we've talked very well about this movie
That's
and
very
very
true.
negative. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't just go full-blown
Yeah,
hate.
at least you didn't say it's a good movie. What? Oh my! What?
I think Batman vs Superman's a good movie.
Oh my God!
There, that felt good.
You know what? I still love Mario Brothers, and I'm never going to stop saying that.
Battleship.
Yeah, but it's not
We
a
all
good
have
movie.
one.
Yeah,
It's fun trash.
I have a lot,
For
but-
a movie who has zero content to work off of, because Super Mario Brothers does not have any content in the video games to really work with. That is an amazing movie.
we don't need to go down a Mario Brothers tangent. We should wrap this up with some plugs.
Yeah.
So plugs for us, www.athpod.com. Check it out. Check out the stream for Correlation's art, where I moderate, and then be sure to check out her book, Blue Eyes and the Beastling. You can get it from her website, and you can get it on Etsy, I believe, is her other store. I'll cut
Yes.
that out if that's not true, but I think it is.
She has a Correlations on there, and on
Yes.
Instagram, and on
Tons of places you can find her. That's it for me. Brian, what do you have to plug?
I have a podcast I do with other animation friends of mine called Animation Success Stories Podcast. That's the ASS Podcast.
Ass?
Nice.
Check it out. Check us out on YouTube.
I bet there's a lot of people that are disappointed, but sometimes when they go to that.
Is it only
It's
on
fair.
YouTube, or is it?
We have it on YouTube. We're trying to get on other services. iTunes being a little bit of a problem. But we're going to be recording new episodes this week. We've been down for a while. The basic premise of the show: we review other professionals in the industry, production people, writers, voice actors, directors, board artists, designers, and kind of talk about how they got into the industry, what were their inspirations in the industry, what lessons will they impart on other people also trying to make it into the industry. So I have that One Piece podcast occasionally because I love One Piece. And if you want to see me get political and yell at fucking conservatives on Twitter, you can check me out on Dark King Zoro, all one word, on Twitter.
I always enjoy good Republican bashing.
I get so
Let the fight be joined.
Resist.
I'm actually quoting you. Right?
Yes, the battle be joined.
The battle be joined.
Chewie, anything to plug? Are your shows still on at this point?
Oh, Superstore still going. Drunk History wrapped, but you
Still
can
on
still watch
Hulu.
it on Hulu. Yeah. They're still fantastic.
I tried looking for the most recent season on Hulu. I didn't.
It's not there yet.
Yeah. Okay.
They wait till the entire season's done, and then I think you have to wait a month after that.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, then I am incorrect in what I
By the
just
time this
said.
one drops,
I was
that might
really
be there.
excited last week. I was like, "Oh, it's up!" And then I went home and I was like, "Oh."
It's still just the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Emily, what's the name of your store again?
EmilyBlakeSews.com. Hopefully, there's a decent looking website there now. By
There
the
might
time
be.
this comes out,
Who knows?
we'll find out soon.
Time will tell.
This is what happens when
We
you
may all be
when
dead.
you do your website in trade. I'm making a costume if someone does my website, so she's not exactly in a hurry since she's not getting paid cash.
That makes
So,
sense. That happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Brian, for coming back out.
Thank you.
It's much appreciated.
Thank
And
Bye.
bye-bye.